So you're basically running the sports thing when you're young. Music's around you, but you're not as passionate about it. So when does that kind of evolve or change? Like when does music
All right,
get
so when I'm 8 years old, I got Doggy Style, the album
right?
from.
That's a good
So I'm
specification.
walking down Coney Island Avenue. Yeah, there's a pause. But I'm walking down Coney Island Avenue, and there's this record shop that we used to all go to, and he didn't care how old we were. I'm 8 years old, and like, yo, what's the new hottest shit out? Like, I didn't say that, but he showed me Doggy Style, gave me a tape, went home with it. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pop it in. My mom came downstairs, looked at the cover, and it's you know how the cover Doggy Style is with all the.
Yes.
So she's like, what the fuck is this? And she took the cover away from me and gave me the tape back. So I'm sitting there listening. So
That's
that's the first
hilarious.
first time I really got introduced to hip hop as like, wow, this shit is dope. And I was listening to Guns N' Roses at the same time, so like my variety, which Guns N' Roses is a dope band. Don't get me like that's one of the one rock bands I fuck with heavy like.
Mm.
But yeah. So that's when I got into hip hop, and from from there, it's always been. I've been writing. I did a diss song to fucking the cannabis shit against one of my classmates, and it was mad funny because he had mad pimples and shit, and it was like, and he smelled, so it was like, it's like the last time you took a shower was March 9th. It was mad funny, so it was like I was like 12 years old when I did that shit.
Okay, so you're eight
So it
years
was
old, and you discover music is dope, and then immediately you start wanting to like create music.
little by little, like I'm not really making beats because I don't know the equipment to make anything. So, but I'm like writing here and there. So I'm taking every song that I know and like I'm writing all the lyrics to them and then penning them back. And then I got into like AZ towards 9 and 10 and Children of the
So
Corn
wait,
and
you wrote out like your own genius
I
page.
was writing my own Genius page, and I would remember the lyrics to everything. That and not to skip ahead a little bit, just a minuscule. When I made beats, that's how I learned how to make beats. I'd find samples, famous samples from them, and see like, oh, how this is how they did it. I'd chop it up the same way and make the same beat, and I'd understand. Oh, this is how you make beats. Okay, so I kind of taught myself how to make beats. But
That's dope.
yeah, aside from that, back when I was 8, getting into music, I was traveling a lot, playing baseball and basketball. So I was in the Rucker when I was like 8 to 12, and I was really good at passing and shit like that. I had, well, we'll go ahead later with that, but I traveled to Puerto Rico. We won the World Series a couple of times for Babe Ruth. Went to Puerto Rico to play against like Melky Cabrera and shit like that. We got blown out first 2 games, cause you know they fucking play
About to
ball
say,
all year.
yeah, y'all,
Yeah,
y'all, y'all played against Monkey Cabrera.
yeah.
Like,
And they destroyed
I'm
us. It
not
was
even gonna
like
lie.
12
I
yeah,
don't
I was
even know
gonna
what that
games.
say,
means.
yo,
You started
we,
saying
all
stuff.
right.
I'm
So
like
Monkey,
Monkey
so
Cabrera.
here we go. This is Melk. Don't butcher the man's name,
I'm
Holden.
not
Okay,
trying to.
Melky Cabrera,
Melky
right?
Cabrera.
Yes, Smokey Cabrera is a professional or was a professional MLB Major League Baseball fucking athlete. Like he
Center
played
fielder
for
for
the
the
Yankees at
Yankees,
one
correct.
piece. Yeah, he played for
Padres.
the Yankees at one point. He played for the Padres. He played for a few teams. And he was a really great center fielder. And like that's like, yo, you're playing against a pro. Like I forgot who it was that I was talking about it with the like a couple days ago or a week ago, but like a guy who's like a bench warmer in the NBA will come off the bench and he will wash anybody
You ever
that
seen
we
Brian
know
Skiller?
that plays good basketball. Like the guys that get to play professionally, they're super athletes. These are mutants. These are like, you know what I mean? It's another level. You know, like it's not the same as you or me. Like we sit there and talk shit about them, right? Because we're watching as fans from home. So it's like you talk shit about the guy who's warming the bench. But that guy warming the bench, if he's at like your local fucking YMCA and like you go to play ball with him, he's gonna fucking smoke your boots,
Smoke him.
bro. Like he's gonna fucking smoke you. You know what I
Yo,
mean? Like
Brian
it's
Scalabrine used to have
different.
a show
It's
like that. He was like the last player on the remember on the Boston Celtics bench when they won. He never played like they call him the White Mamba, the guy with the red hair. He had a show where he'd because he's like, yo, I could beat the worst guy in the league, and he'd have a show where he'd have like regular Joes come, and he would smoke them. Like they wouldn't even score. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah. Where it's just like, what do you
What a
think
way
you're
to
doing? Like,
capitalize on being the worst guy in
Like,
the league, though.
but everybody loved, like they
yeah,
loved
yeah.
like
Shout
the,
to him. That's wild. That's wild. Smart.
he,
Oh, him. I don't know if it was him or his team around him, but whoever came up with that idea is
the,
genius.
and then they had
Like,
pros
what?
versus Joes. Remember?
Smoke
I
your
don't know if y'all
motherfucking
remember that.
boots.
Sports is not my
um,
forte.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
So's playing baseball against fucking
Yeah, no,
Melky
but
And
that
and
is
and I
just
was
like,
playing against Bashy too when I was playing in the Rucker and the Steph tournament, Stephon Marbury tournament in Coney Island, which is a tournament put together by Stephon Marbury. Bashy is Sebastian Telfair, and I used to go to school with him in Lincoln. He was a year younger than me, but he would move up obviously because of his talent, and he was quick as hell. And I played against him a few times. One time he busted my ass. The other time I held him to 4 points, and I had like 12 assists on him. I didn't score much either that game, but I had like 12 assists on him. But yeah, he was quick as hell. It was fucking amazing to play against him, and hope he's doing well, which I know he's not, but like I wish him the best right now. He's a cool dude, for sure.
wish him the best too. Um,
what?
fair. So yeah, as you're, so yeah, let's bring it back to being like 8 to 12 land, and you were
That
writing.
is 8 to 12 land about there. And then I went
Okay.
that was like in high school. I would like because he was in Lincoln, and
Okay.
after I
Okay.
got kicked out of Edmonds.
So I meant,
Yeah, so go ahead.
yeah, back to like the
Ask me.
more like, cause we kind of like pivoted away from you were like making the beats, and then we got distracted by a few things, which is wonderful because you're an interesting dude. But like, yeah, so you started writing around that age, and then somewhere around 12, you're already out there kind of dissing pimply kids. So there's a bit of
Yeah,
a
basically.
so is it like, are you just immersed in a culture of people rapping? Like, how do you get to the point where you're out there actually rapping and battling people and whatnot?
So yeah, when I was so like about then, yeah, about 12, 13, and then you're going into high school. Which was cool about my school was we were the seniors every year because they were moving it up to 8th grade. So from 5th grade we were the seniors, 6th grade we were the seniors, 7th grade. So we were cool, like we were like got everything we want. So I had a couple of kids that I played ball with in there, and they was rapping a little bit. So we would rap together, and then that's when I really started writing my own stuff. And then we've had battles on corners over here. We've had battles at like local clubs over here where I started battling kids.
This
Like,
is like at 13 still.
no, this is like 14, 15, 16, around there. This is the whole time of 14, 15, 16.
Okay.
So like 12 and 13, I started to get in really writing and stuff like that. And I would mainly freestyle, honestly. And I remember we would go to these teen nightclubs, and sometimes at the end of the night you get battles, and there'd be a money cash prize, or it'd just be just a one battle thing because you were that dude that other week ago or something like that. But it'd be like a regular club where you chilling, people are popping acts and fucking, we're doing drinking, and like at 17 years old, and all your boys are there, you're chilling, you know what I'm saying? So it was cool. So that's when I got into writing and into battling. Pretty much was my first real like writing and rhyming experience was battling. You know what I mean?
So it wasn't really like you were going down the song path. It was more like the environment kind of brought
And then
you.
it eventually it gradually went into the song path, of course.
But
Right, you're
like,
right though.
but yeah, it's nifty how like almost like the environment kind of forced you along the way as you got exposed to different things. You were like, nah, I'm gonna be like a writer because they're writing. These guys around you in the basketball team are rapping. You start rapping with them, and it just kind of like immerses you into it. And that's
I mean, the
nifty.
lunch table was a huge thing at my school. You know that,
Lunch
Flacco.
table.
Lunch table.
Yeah.
Even
The
when I went
lunch
to
table
Catholic school, I
is
went to Catholic school for 3 years before I got kicked out and went to Lincoln. And people were rapping in there. We were banging on the lunchroom. I don't know if you know Prestigious and Frankie B, Frank Berardi. I know they might sound familiar. They're from around here. They went to the same school. They would be in the locker room, like banging on the locker room. We'd be rhyming and shit. They were seniors when I was a freshman. So like, yeah, like everywhere, every school you went to, and probably in Brooklyn at that time, early 2000s, was rapping you was rapping in the lunchroom, the hallway,
the
the
city, the
staircase.
city, the whole city,
The
the
whole
whole
city was
city.
rapping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it was like that in the Bronx too. I think that it probably only was not like that in like what, like maybe like fucking private schools, Catholic schools.
No,
You know what I
mine
No,
mean?
was a
it
Catholic
was
school, but mine was
definitely.
unique
And even
because
then,
Because like as you're saying it,
I
I
was gonna
thought back
say
to high school, and I'm like, nah, like it was. I wasn't like really with them, but
everywhere,
they was doing it up in Montreal at that time too. It was everywhere.
everybody.
it was because there was a
That's a
lot of
high.
diversity in my Catholic school. It was like a lot of as Jewish kids. There was black kids. There was Asian kids. It didn't matter what
Mm.
like so. So it was like it didn't. It wasn't really a cat. You had to go to like do a prayer in the morning, like before the Pledge of Allegiance. But we would get into it's like because my school was like a basketball school, so we were getting good talent from all over, and you would chilling with the crowd that you fit in with, and I was very hip hop at the time, and I chilled with everybody who liked hip hop, and we'd sit at the lunch table rhyming. You know what I'm saying? So it was lit. It was fun.
So at that point, were you into the other stuff like writing or dancing or anything like that, or was it like strictly?
Writing, definitely. Writing, and then 17 is when I got into producing because I got introduced to Fruity Loops, and that's when I started producing. So that was like at the end of my stint in my sophomore year of St. Edmunds going into Lincoln.
So, that's like a lot. So you're like really immersed into the culture at that point. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
deeper than just like, cause really I haven't heard you be like, I'm trying to make songs and shit. It's more like, nah, this is just my life. And in a sense, it reminds me of some of Flacco's Facebook posts where he tries to describe how it's like a life that was going on around there. You know,
I
in a
was making
sense.
songs though, like we had Acid Pro where we were recording over like a regular computer mic like this, maybe this size, and we would make songs over that shit.
I recorded my first record. Like I totally forgot until like I linked up with like a friend of mine that like I was chilling with heavy in '01 after the towers dropped. Like um
Yep, that's
uh
exactly when
and and
when I was
and
like making
he
songs.
was on like Fruity Loops, the first one, and
3.4 was that one.
we were recording on that shit, and acid something,
Acid
and
Pro, you're right.
I
Yeah,
forget what
you're right.
else. Like and it was on a
And
mic like that, like you
Cubase,
said.
either Cubase or SoundForge.
It was one of those fucking.
$2
But
fucking.
we were recording on that bitch,
Me
and we were
too. Me
doing
too.
whatever we could. Word life. We
And
were
and we
really kind of like the pioneers of using all this digital shit. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
100% to get into to doing all of that was hard. Like just for somebody to have their own studio like Luminary. That's where we went like a couple of years after I started producing. When I met Nems at like 17, is when he had his own studio and it was like amazing because like wow, you fucking got your own studio. Like you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't have shit like that. We would try. I still have a home studio. You know what I'm saying? Like but a lot better equipment for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I
it's
would
different.
argue the home studio game now went into a price range where everybody can probably get the shit if they save. Whereas
Exactly.
back in the day, people have quoted me prices along the way, and it feels like anything before 2008, you needed to be in a
I mean,
good
even
place.
then, I've worked with enough, and I know like enough like homies that are like professional engineers, and like yo, it doesn't. It's still like that's the main thing about like real engineering is that like that's what differentiates like the guys at home with just like a basic setup from like an engineer who has like all this equipment that like costs wild bread, but it has a reason. And with that equipment is how you make the records sound the way that they sound on the
I'm
fucking
saying, yeah,
radio and
there's a
shit.
certain warmth of the SSL.
Hmm.
You know what SSL board is? I know you do, Flacco. Do you know,
Hmm.
Roldan? It's a board. It's the boards that are most famous, and the Neve. They have certain warmths to them that can't be mimicked because they use tape decks too. Sometimes, if you have them hooked up to tape deck. I went to school to SAE, so I have my engineer degree in audio engineering. So
Okay.
I've been through all of this shit. Like I've seen boards galore. Been there. I was there for about 16 months, I think. It's the greatest experience of my life.
When did you
We'll go
go?
into that, but about 2011 to 2013, I would say.
Okay.
Where?
SAE. It was like right in the middle
Oh,
of
okay, yeah,
yeah,
SAE is
yeah,
SAE is
yeah. One of the
big
reputable, yeah.
yeah, reputable. It's like saying what's the one in Florida?
Full Sail. Full Sail. I
Full
was gonna go
Sail,
there. I was gonna
Full
go there.
Sail, SAE. What other one? There's one more.
I think, yeah, but it's not as good because I went there. They only had one. What do you call it? One board there, and it was like, damn, this is not going to be. They had this. SAE has little studio booths. They have different boards of every kind. It was amazing, I love the one on 34th. While we were going there, they had moved to Second and 19th, which was cool. Which was the tech was there was crazy because they upgraded everything, but the old school feeling was like, that feeling
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
place we was at, because we had the place where we could smoke around the corner. We used to go on the roof sometimes. It was like lit. It was perfect for us.
yeah.
And that was like when Vape
We
was coming out and shit. So
we
everybody
were
had the vape.
blessed because
Yeah,
you got to be in. It sounds like you got to be right because I'm about to start. I was literally right there where I was about to start talking to you. Like it's just you and me and it's us. But right, you you had. It sounds like you had the privilege of having been in professional studio.
absolutely.
But not only that, to
So
have that like environment shift, it's like a double education because you got trained in like one world and then you upgraded to newer shit and then had to adapt that.
100%.
And so that's a rarer thing than
You
most.
could even hear in the beats I played you before to the shit I played you prior to that how the drums are much more clearer. The bass is much more clear. It's much more modern and shit. It's because it's taught me how to mix and master and put everything how they are. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was lacking at that point. Now, I could, hopefully, I hope every producer strives for Grammy success and to be the best. I'm not saying I am the best, but I'm thriving to, and I want everybody to feel like that about as an artist and an MC, as whatever you do, be the best at it.
yep,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
You know
Facts,
what I'm
facts.
saying?
I just finished seeing oh man, I forget who it was that was talking, but they was like you know, don't like show up to do whatever you do, like and show up. You know what I mean? Like do it. Do it with some gusto, like in life, like period. Like
Yeah, shout out to
whatever
Kaives who just popped
like
in. He's a fucking great producer. He has a beat tape out right now, and I love listening to producers because it inspires, and I don't like copying, so I don't like to listen to a lot of people's shit. Only my people's stuff that I make and stuff like that. So I don't like to get influenced by the radio. So I don't know much music now, and because last year I pumped out 450 beats. It's the most I ever pumped out in a year. That's insane to me. I would look that back and I was like, holy shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh damn, I did a lot this year. That's
yeah, you
crazy.
do. I
Yeah,
mean, you had a whole show, so you know what I
yeah.
mean?
So I was
And
doing
we'll
shit
get to
every week.
that.
Yeah,
We'll get to that. But